Hello, how are you?
Good, I'm good.
Good. I want to ask you, please introduce yourself.
Yes, to the camera.
Yeah.
My name is Louise Lohman Christensen. I am a writer, director, producer of small indie films.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So what's your movie? What's the movie playing at the
So,
festival?
the short film here is called Beautiful Strangers.
Yeah.
And it's my first short film, actually.
Cool.
So,
And I've heard that it's a beautiful movie, actually.
oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really proud of it. You know, for a first film.
Yeah.
I come from theater. My background is an actor and and a singer actually from stage.
Woohoo!
So it was like, and I just decided to do a switch and go on the other side of the camera. You know, write and direct.
That is cool.
So it was my first attempt, and I was very pleased with it. You know, I mean, I have lots to learn, obviously, as a newcomer to film. Yeah, I wrote this thing. It's very simple. It's two people talking. But you'd be surprised how much can come out of that.
Oh, of course. I can. You know, I've been interviewing people, and trust me, you know, the conversation was, was amazing because you can start with, you know, the smallest idea in the world, like the smallest object, and then, you know, our mind and our imagination, and even like our unconscious, you know, it takes us places where, you know, our mind is amazing, actually.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, what do you think is the main difference, or let's start with a difference and a difficulty, okay?
Okay.
I don't want to compare because, you know, people they love to compare, you know, theater and films.
Sure.
Yeah. For me, it's not a comparison. So what's like the difference? Okay, like the first difference, the most obvious difference for you as an actor, you know, coming, you know, from stage. What was the first difficulty? Doing a short film.
The difference.
Yes.
I mean, a difference, because there are a lot of differences. Yeah. But first of all, you know, the whole thing about having to frame something. Yeah. Right? That's extremely different. Yeah. From theater. You have the whole stage. I mean, you frame with lights in some regards, and you block people's performance, but to think in a whole different way of, you know, the whole, like, you have to think from like the camera perspective. It's like a whole different way of having to think. So that has probably been the greatest challenge for me, is the whole visual aspect of it, because it's so different than performance art, you know, from theater. Yeah,
cool. Did you have any, again, I don't like to call it like a blockage or a challenge, but do you have like any big challenge, you know, during the production of this film that you faced? It could be anything.
Yeah, I mean, like, first of all, because it was my first film, I knew very, very little about the medium. Yeah. So I basically kind of wrote this film as a scene, like a theater scene, a piece of theater. And then I rehearsed the actors as if it was a piece of theater. And then, you know, I asked a photographer to come in, and I didn't know a lot about camera work, so I was just like, can you film this conversation, basically? So it was, a lot of it has to do with like my lack of technical knowledge, right? That was a difficulty. So I couldn't really tell him. Like, I didn't know a lot about coverage at the time. I just like, can you film this? Yeah.
That is an innocent question, actually.
Yeah, and he was like, yeah, I can film this. No, I'll film it from afar and up close. And I'm like, okay, I guess that works. You know, I didn't know. So, and then, so in that sense, like, my lack of knowledge was, you know, a hurdle in some regards. And then as I learned, because I have done a lot of work since. You know, so
we learned.
We learned, you know, and I went on a lot of other sets and learned a lot, picked up a lot, and I started learning, and I was like, I hadn't finished my film at that point. So I already, very fast after, I was like, oh, I didn't get that kind of coverage, and I didn't do that, and I didn't do that. So when I sat down and started to edit, I was like, I'm just going to have to do my best with what I've got here.
Just going to have to be creative.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, cool. I have another question. So did you on purpose choose theater actress or your actors? Or did you doubt it? Did you say like, no, I have to get like, you know, professional on camera actors?
I actually just found actors that I knew were good. I didn't worry about whether they were theater or camera folks. I just found some actors that I felt were truthful. And that's kind of where I come from. I don't worry so much whether a person has experienced here or there, more than what I'm seeing. Is it authentic and truthful, and how do they work? So that's kind of how I have these two wonderful actresses that I work with. And can I say just a few words about the film?
Please go ahead.
Okay,
yes.
so I don't want to give too much away, of course,
Yeah, don't
but
spoil it.
I don't want to spoil it, no. But it is a film, it's a conversation that unfolds between an adoptee and the birth mother, and they meet for the first time when the child is adult, right? And so it's a conversation between these two that I was trying to explore and see what could happen between these two women that we may not expect as an audience, and sort of thoughts about, you know, what it means to be a mother, our expectations about motherhood, and so on. So, like I said, I'm not trying to give too much away, but I wanted to talk a little bit about.
But I'm not gonna say. You gotta watch the movie. Yeah, cool. Because you know it's something unexpected.
Yeah.
And what I love the most, because I've watched your movie, what I love the most about your movie is that it has a lot of like, you know, cultural, you know, that like this always should feel this way. You know, this is what we you know. It has to be this way, you know. When you see this person, it has to be that way and this way. And
I was trying to go against the grain there and kind of see, is there other options? For something to happen, and I'm sure it probably doesn't happen a lot, but I'm wondering if it does happen.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
It might happen.
Yeah, and let's talk about it.
Yeah, and let's figure out what that is.
Exactly.
And what does that look like and feel like? Yeah.
Cool. Well, I want to thank you for this beautiful interview.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and you know, come join us tonight. Her film is screening tonight at Not Afflicted Films, and you know, I'll see you around.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. That was cool.